Hey everyone, it's Jack, and today I'm going to take a look at Ubuntu Budgie. What is Ubuntu Budgie? It's Budgie on Ubuntu. So Ubuntu Budgie is actually one of my favorite desktops. This is the Ubuntu version, so this is Budgie with the Ubuntu core. And one thing I really like about Ubuntu Budgie is the fact that it is just something that is easy to transition to, whether you're a Mac user or a Windows user. Even has the GNOME weather app available. So yes, it is tightly integrated with GNOME. And I believe this is based on Ubuntu 22.04, the long-term release. And there we are. We're at the downloads page right now. And I can't wait to try this out. I'm just going to get right to it, hit this direct download button and grab it. And then I'll be right back. Okay, and here I am. I'm inside the live boot screen right now. So I'm just going to continue on. I'm going to press enter here and do the try or install Budgie. And then this should boot us right into our live image here. And nice splash screen as usual. The Ubuntu people know what they're doing when it comes to aesthetics, that's for sure. And they really do a fantastic job here with Budgie. And that's why it's probably my favorite Budgie distro, because Ubuntu just makes it look so nice. And so here we got our background coming in, and I think we're going to either see the installer or the live environment, but I think the installer is going to come up here in a second. And here it's coming into view, so everything's kind of populating in, and there we go. So here we got our choices here, try Ubuntu or install Ubuntu Budgie. And I'm just going to go ahead and install Ubuntu Budgie. So might as well get right down to business, right? So I'm going to hit install here. And then here's our first choice. And by default, we're going to download updates, which is good. And I'm going to hit the install third-party software for graphics and Wi-Fi and so forth. And I recommend that unless you have a really good reason not to use it, you're probably going to have a lot less problems if you use it, because you'll have all the drivers and everything that you need. And I'm also going to go with the erase disk here and install Ubuntu Budgie, because I don't have anything on here that I need. But if you're more advanced and you want to do your own partitioning, then you would choose something else. And so our time zone is good, so I'm just going to continue there. And then here's our name. So the installer allows us to put in your full name if you wish. So I'm just going to type in something silly like Toadwick C Cloud. And then of course you'll see that on your screen, but your actual username will be simply Toadwick. And so then we'll give it a password, and that all looks good. So I'm going to hit continue, and then it's going to copy files here. So I'm going to let it do its thing. And then when it's done, I'll be right back. Okay, that didn't take too long. That was a pretty quick install, maybe 10 minutes or so at the most. So I'm going to hit restart now. And here we are, we're restarting. So it looks like everything went fine. So we see our splash screen here, and if all went well, which I believe it did, we should see this, the login screen. And there it is. I'm glad, because if it didn't show up, I'd feel dumb. So I'm going to just log in here, and then we should be in our Ubuntu environment any second now. And there we go. Nice. Over here, we got familiarity. And so here we have browser ballot, customization, updates, drivers, language, and optional tasks, and so forth. So let's start with browser ballot and see what's in there. So this is our browsers, our choices that we have and what's installed. And it looks like the Snap version of Firefox is installed as opposed to ESR. And I'm good with that. And then of course, all our other browsers here, Brave, Midori, GNOME Web, Vivaldi, and so forth. So nice choice there that you can choose from just kind of by default. And we have our customization. So here we got our user interface, our Budgie desktop settings, and our Budgie control center. So if we go into our desktop settings, let's see what our choices are here. So here we got our actual desktop settings. So we got our widgets, styles, preferred dark. So I like that. If you like a light style, then you can go with that. Top right in our notifications, built-in theme, and so forth. And then here we have our desktop icons, and they're turned on by default, but there's no icons there actually right now. You can also turn on your home folder, so that would kind of be right there. Now we can see something, even your trash bin. So we can pop that on as well. And these are our number of virtual desktops, which are denoted right there. You got 2 dots for 2 desktops. Now we got 4. So just hit that. And so I increase that up to 4. But that too is the default. And then we have our fonts, of course, and then our Raven menu. So these are the things that are on our Raven menu right now, our calendar, sound output, input, and module connections. So if I open up our Raven calendar, we can see all this right here, which all looks nice. And so you can take any of these out if you wish, but personally, I just prefer to have them all there. But this is a place where you can do that. You can take them out or put them in as you please right there. And then, of course, you can see your settings off to the side and then your calendar settings and so forth for your widget. And you can even add new ones. And then here on your window, you got your modal dialog, attachment, button layout. Right is the standard by default. So I would kind of stay with the defaults on those. And I'm just going to open up my home folder here and then just kind of take a look at the styling there too. I'm not sure if anything's really going to change there, but no, I guess not. So I'm not sure exactly what that corresponded to, but it looks cool anyway. Then here we got show all windows and tab switcher. So you can do that too. So when you're switching tabs, you can see all the windows as well. And then here's our top panel settings. So these are the different things that we have in our top panel, starting with our app menu here. So that is all well and good. And then here we have our showtime. I kind of like that. So here we can see our applets, and these are our settings. So right now our top bar is in the top position, but we could set that just as easily down there on the bottom, or we could have it over on the left-hand side right there, or the right side. The left-hand side is kind of like the traditional classic GNOME look, or even Unity style. And then here we can adjust the size of our top bar, so we can make it really big, really thin, or the default, which I think was around 37 pixels or so, give or take a pixel. And then auto hide, or you can use dynamic or never on your top bar. Dynamic is the default, so there's probably a subtle difference between dynamic and auto hide. And then here we got dark mode, or dock mode, I mean. So it'll dock just like the plank bar down here at the bottom. But of course, we don't need two docks, so I'm going to just spread that out again. But if you were using that by itself, that would be a nice option. And then here, of course, this is plank bar, and that's what we have down here at the bottom is our plank bar. So that's a nice addition there. I kind of like having the plank in addition to the Budgie bar up there. And nice. And so now we have our software updater. So I guess I'll just let that run in the background while we explore other things just to kind of get that out of the way. And then here on the Budgie welcome, let's take a look at our control center. And it's looking black.
What's up with that?
Okay, so it went black. I planned it that way. Not really. So I logged back in. I had to reboot because I don't know what happened, but for some reason I kind of crashed the environment there by going into that. I don't know if it was because the desktop settings were running at the same time or what, but somehow I crashed that environment. It could also be some setting in my virtual machine too. Maybe my video driver settings aren't quite right. I don't know. I'll have to keep an eye on that just to kind of see what's going on. But anyways, let's pop over and take a look at our bar up here. So here we got our app, and I'm going to open up the web welcome again here because I think that's kind of what I was in, at least close enough. So here we got makeover and layouts. That looks kind of interesting. Let's go there and see what's in there. So here we have our switch appearance settings. These are cool desktop compatible themes, I guess, like when you're switching appearances and so forth. And here you got a lot to choose from, like the Arc Design, Fluent, Material Design, Vimix, nice, Mojave, Orcus. So a lot of Mac kind of styles in here too. Koger, Postillo, I think that said, and White Sur. Very cool. So yeah, if you're kind of a fan of the Mac styles, a lot of those are right here. And then we probably got the same with the desktop layouts. So this will kind of switch our layout. There's the Ubuntu Budgie, which I believe is probably what we're in right now. Then you got the classic Budgie look. Then you got Redmond 11, which I believe is in the Windows 11 style. Traditional Budgie, Cupertino, the One, which is kind of cool. And then a Chromebook style, it looked like down there. Yeah, let's look at that Chromebook style. That kind of looks cool. The one I've used too in the past when I was running Budgie for a while is a daily. And all you got to do is hit apply layout. And I just applied the Cupertino layout. It affected the icons a little bit on the plank bar below, but mostly on the bar up above. Let's try the 1. And the 1 puts it over here on the side, which is kind of cool. So if you like having an extra bar on the side. So let's take a look at this Chrome layout, see what that looks like. This one isn't on the drive by default, so it's downloading it off the internet. That's why it said install rather than apply. The other ones are already on the hard drive. So I'm going to let this install, and it ought to be applying changes any second now, or minute, whatever applies. Okay, there we go. So if I hit apply layout, we should get some kind of applying. And yeah, it kind of looks different. It looks like the bar disappeared on top, but this is basically the layout you would have in the picture if I had a bunch of icons. So not really seeing a lot of difference there. And then we got classic Ubuntu 11, so that would be in the style of Windows 11. If I hit apply there, then it kind of gives us our plank bar again with a little bit of a background, which is equivalent to the opaque background there. I forgot what they call it, the setting. So yeah, kind of subtle differences, and it gets rid of the bar at the top. So it kind of gives you a Windows 11 feel. And then back to the Ubuntu Budgie desktop. And then here we got our features here, so it just kind of goes over some of the features of Budgie, and then getting started, recommendations, your community links, and so forth. And then we got our install software. So here we got our software center, we got Budgie extras, recommendations, even a gaming tab here, or menu item. So here under our extras, we got some applets. So it looks like clock applet, menu. So these are kind of extra little goodies you can add into your Budgie desktop if you want to add something different. Calendar pop-up if you want to have a pop-up access to calendars. Carbon tray. So that's kind of neat. And then we got our recommendations, our software center. So if I open that up, it should open up, if I remember right, it's probably GNOME software. And there it is. And yeah, I would say that's GNOME software for sure. And then here we got our software menu. So here we can see about, and I think that's probably going to be, yeah, the GNOME software based on GNOME 45, which is the latest as of the time of filming. And then we got our software repos. So if we jump in here, we can see that we got our canonical supported repos, our community, proprietary drivers, and software restricted. So if you forgot to check that during install, you can check that here. And so then you'll have access to proprietary drivers and restricted software, such as your codecs and so forth that you need for video and so forth. So those are important if you're going to need those codecs, in my opinion. And so here we got some recommended apps. These are the editor's choice and some cool stuff in there. And of course, personally, I like the weather. I'm, easily entertained. So I'm going to hit that real quick and then click install. And then from there, we'll just authenticate. And then that should be installing any day now. And once it's installed, we can have a look. Of course, GNOME Weather has a nice graphics to it. If you live in a small town somewhere, it's probably not going to find where you live. That's the only drawback with it, but looks like we downloaded the Debian version out of the repos, but it's also available in a snap. So let's try a more major city like Tampa, and we'll just hit OK on that, and it should give us the results, and there it is. Nice, 81 degrees, sunshine, good day to go out to the beach. And it looks like it's going to be a clear night in Tampa. So that is the software center. Very cool. And I don't know why I closed that. I wasn't really 100% done. Well, I guess I was. Let's go to gaming and take a look at so here we got gaming clients here on our first tab. So we got Lutris and Steam, RetroArch, which is cool, Mini Galaxy, nice. And then our gaming tools. So if you're really serious into stuff, this is a good place to go. You got your CPU frequency applet, RGB, OBS Studio if you want to do some streaming or recording of your games and so forth. And then our Goverlay, Discord. And so a lot of things that a gamer would probably find handy if they needed to use some of the tools. And then here, of course, here's a list of some popular curated games from the repos. And of course, these are open source and free, I believe. And so, yes, Loop Hero, No Longer Home, Binding of Isaac, Boyfriend Dungeon, I've been there a few times. All right, so cool. That's our install software stuff. I'm liking that. That is a nice welcome screen there with a lot of nice little features. Then we have our clock up here in the center and easy access to the system time settings. And over here, these are our desktops. And then like a little, this is quick note. So you can store little quick notes in there, kind of like you would with a sticky note. And then we got a shortcut to our different places here. So if you want a quick access, like to your documents folder, it'll open up your file manager right up straight into the documents folder. So that's a nice little handy shortcut for that. And then here we got, of course, our notifications and so forth available, our network settings, which is only wired right at the moment. And then here's our sound settings. And if I open that up, it's going to crash again. Ooh. So I don't think this is Ubuntu Budgie's fault here. I think this is probably I'm inside my VirtualBox settings here right now because I think I just got an issue here with my driver settings. So I'm going in here to my display and I'm going to maybe turn off the listen type, set that to none, turn on OpenGL so we can get some 3D acceleration. And I think that's probably going to fix the problem. So I don't believe at all that that has anything to do with Ubuntu Budgie. Just me and my KVM settings. So let's test that theory and see if it's true, because I'm going to go back in there and open that up again. And this time it should not crash. And if it does, I'll let you eat your hat. There we go. And get logged in here. And there we got our two icons. Nice. So if we go back up here and open our sound settings again, it works without a crash. So apparently that's all it was, just my driver settings. So that's good to know. Glad to hear that. So Ubuntu, you're in the clear. So here's our system volume and over amplification settings, system sounds, and then our output device. All looking good. Since we're in our control center, let's take a look at our settings. So here we have our network settings, and we have our Bluetooth, which is not installed here. Here's our backgrounds. So we can go in here and change some backgrounds here on the fly. And it looks like there's a nice choice of backgrounds there. I kind of like that. The little kitten, he kind of looks all shocked looking at that flower. Hey, where'd that bee go? So cool. I'm liking it. I think I might keep that. I like that actually. And I just minimize that, and I forgot how you get to your minimize item in Budgie. Yeah, it's not down there on the plank bar. So, and I opened up the welcome screen by mistake. I think I gotta go to the desktop switcher here. There it is. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I kind of forgot where that was. I'm kind of used to seeing it in the taskbar, like in a window tab. So there we go. We got it back. So it's all good. That's where you go if you have something minimized. And so those are our backgrounds. And I really kind of like the kitten one, but a lot of nice ones here to choose from and very cool. And actually the default is very nice too. I think that is an excellent choice for a default that we had originally. Then we have our notifications settings here. So this is kind of like what you'd see on your phone. You have all these different apps that you can allow to have notifications. You can turn them on and off and so forth. Then our multitasking, and then our applications here. So again, you can turn your notifications on and off by app. And then your privacy, you got your location services, which are turned off. Personally, I have no problem with having those on. They come in handy when you're doing Google searches sometime. And then file and history and trash. So here, if you don't want your file history showing up, you can either clear it or you can turn it off. And you can also have it auto-delete your history after a day or 7 days or anywhere in between. And then automatically delete trash anywhere from 1 hour to 30 days. Wow. So that's kind of cool too. It's nice to have that auto setting there if you need it. And then of course we got our online accounts. So if you're into online accounts and you have a Google account or Nextcloud or Microsoft or whatever, this gives you a nice easy way to access that. And then here we got our sharing settings. And this is kind of nice to have too. If you want to do any kind of sharing, like file sharing, or if you want a remote desktop into your computer, maybe you want to access it from somewhere else, like at work or somewhere, then you can turn on your remote desktop here. You can activate remote control if you wish. That's another option. And then, of course, your connection settings and your authentication settings down there to get in. So that kind of makes the process a little bit easier if you know what you're doing there. And then you got your file sharing settings here. So here you can require a password if you wish for your shared files, but you want to switch that if you want to kind of do your tweaking, I guess, or turn it on and make it active. And then, that's handy if you're on a network or something. Then here we got our power settings, so you can turn off your screen blanking if you want, or change your minutes. And then you got your automatic suspend, which I would leave off personally. And then we got our display settings. So here you can change your resolution, your screen blanking and so forth. You can turn off screen lock if that annoys you like it does me. And then we have our mouse settings. So here we got our left and right. So if you're a lefty, you can change it to a lefty, but it's set for right now. And then here on keyboard settings, I would probably go with all the defaults here for your layouts and all that. So that is set up pretty much the way I would want it. And then, of course, we got our printer settings. There's no printer attached to this VM, of course, but it's pretty much plug and play. It's going to support any Linux compatible printer, which are just about all of them anymore. And then we got our user settings. And so we can give ourselves a different icon and a lot of cool choices here. And yeah, this is a tough one. I don't know which one to go with. The guitar. How about this one? This looks cool. It's kind of a lake with a mountain in the background and something in the foreground in between, and really nice colors in the sky, like a sunset or a sunrise. And then, of course, you would unlock that button if you wanted to make other changes. And then here you could change your friendly name, which is Toadwixy Cloud. Maybe you want it Toadwixy Sunshine. And then here we can set our default applications. So if you have a couple browsers installed, you could change your default web browser there. Same with your file viewer, your picture viewer, and media viewer and all that. And then here we got our date and time settings. So that'll affect your clock up here in the center of the bar. And again, you would have to unlock it if you want to change it. But this you can change freely without unlocking it, going from 24-hour to 12-hour AM, PM. And then we got our about, and I'll jump up to that clock setting again in a minute. But here's our about. So here we can see our version of Budgie that we're running, the size of how much drive space is being taken up and so forth, which is only 6 gigs. And then I can close that. And then again, our clock settings. I forgot to show you, you can also access it right there by clicking on the clock, and it brings up the little sub menu. And then you're back into where you were. And so then you can access these. Of course, you would have to unlock it to actually go in there and change your time zone or whatever. So if you hit unlock there and then just authenticate, then you have access to the little sliding levers there. So we could change our time zone here, and maybe you could put it into Zimbabwe if you live in California or whatever, just to kind of mess with people. So there's our settings. Nice. And then over here, we got our Raven menu, of course, which we were in before, so I don't know why I clicked that. Let's come over here to our app menu and kind of see what we got on here by default. So a lot of cool things here. Additional drivers that we can install, which is nice. ILROT software, which is the Solitaire, I think. Budgie Extras, which we were in earlier. Our document viewer. Good Vibes, which is a nice player. I think that's a player or maybe a radio app. Can't remember now. And then here's our LibreOffice installed. And I'm just going to open up Calc here. I like to do my theme checking with Calc. It's a really good reference point to just kind of test how well themes are managed within a distro. And this is looking good because a lot of times if a distro doesn't quite get it right with their theming settings overall, it'll show up here in LibreOffice. And it is looking good there just by default. I'm liking that. We're running version 7.6.2.1 here. So very up to date. And then over in our next page here, on the fourth one, we got more stuff. So we got Pro media player, system monitor, all the pretty standard but cool stuff. And there's our weather app again. I think that's the one that I installed earlier through the software installer. The icon looks a little different though, so I'm not quite sure if that's the same one or not, but it is. So yeah, cool, excellent. So that showed up in the menu and we're all good there. And then Tilex, that's our terminal here. So let's jump in here. And since we got our terminal open, let's first of all make it bigger so it's easier to see. So I'm running HTOP, and then I'm going to magnify it a bit here and zoom it in and then just kind of go full screen. There we go. So here's our HTOP. Nice. And it looks like we're only using about 616 megs of resources. Not bad. That's really actually quite good. So I'm glad to see that the resource usage on here is really reasonable. I am liking that. And since I'm in here, why don't we just do a quick install, sudo apt install Inkscape. We'll do an app install via the terminal instead of the software center. Just in case you're not real familiar with the terminal, this is a nice, easy way to install applications, especially if you already know what you want to install. And it kind of saves time. We just hit yes here or Y for yes, and it just kind of does its thing and will be installed in no time. And I actually find it quicker to do installs just through the terminal. If you're a GUI person, that might scare you. But when you see how easy this is, actually, it won't scare you for long. You might even warm up to the terminal if you're not used to doing console things. So now if I go up here in my menu, I should see Inkscape, and I just typed it in the search, and there it is. So it installed just fine. And that looks like the newest one there. That's 1.2.2. I wouldn't say it's the latest cutting edge version, but I would say it's probably fairly new. And the theming looks great on it. So that passed the theme test. And if we go into our about, we're at about December 2022, December 1st. So yes, that is quite recent here. And I would say that kind of falls in line with our up-to-date stable version. So very good. I am liking everything I see here. And no more crashing, so I'm pretty sure the driver adjustments did the trick. And these are our different view settings here that I'm clicking on: list view, compact view, and our icon view by default. But here's our icon view, and that's what most people like. Personally, I kind of like the list view, what I use on my own daily. And then here we got our settings for our sidebar. So those are the tree view. That's just off. And then back to our default side pane there, which is the one that I prefer. And then we can come up here, and if you right click over the toolbar, then you can see the menu. And we're running Nemo here, 3.8.4. Nice. I like that. Right click again. And then if we go under view, under preferences, under edit, then here we can see our different preferences here, our view settings, a double click versus single click. So you can set your single click settings if you prefer that. We got our display settings here, then our columns. So you can make different columns visible or turn them off if you wish when you're in list mode. And then here's our preview settings, which all the defaults are good with me. These are your toolbars. So you can have things show up in your toolbar if you like a new folder, or you can turn off icons. So that's how you can kind of adjust your toolbar. And then you got your context menus. This is your right-click menu. So like if you wanted to add something like, for example, a duplicate or maybe a make link. If I click make link there, then make link will show up as one of my options when you right-click over a file or a folder. And then, of course, you got your plugins there. So I'll show you what I mean with the context. So right-click, and now you can see make link is in the menu. That was not there before I checked that box. So that's how you can kind of add and remove things from that context menu. And again, right-click there, and that'll expose your menu bar up above. I just selected menu bar now, so that way the menu bar will stay there. So if you don't like it hidden, that's the way to do it. You want to select menu bar under your view settings. Otherwise, without that there, it's going to be hidden, which means you gotta remember to right click over your toolbar area. So nice. Excellent. Here you can put in an extra pane if you want a split view. So now it's kind of split it down the middle, and you got two views of your home folder, which is kind of handy. You can have a downloads folder on one end and maybe pictures on the other, except they're both empty, so it's kind of confusing and doesn't help. But here we got like our home folder, but I think you get the picture there. We have two different folders there that we can kind of work back and forth with. It's kind of nice to have a quick extra pane view instead of opening another tab. And F3 will toggle that, by the way. So let's set that over here for a minute. And let's take a look at our plank bar here. So our plank bar, let's go into preferences. I held my control key down and right clicked. And then here we got our different themes. So here we got the matte theme. That's kind of, I think, what it went to when we were in our Mac-like desktop setting, or the GTK, probably more like it. And then our default, which has a small bar on the bottom there that kind of goes across. But our actual Ubuntu default was transparent, which means there was nothing in the background. And then, of course, you can change the position of your bar, of your plank bar. So here you can have it on top, over to the right, and, of course, on the left, where most people will put it if they have it on the side. And I guess I'll just stick it back on the bottom. I'm kind of cool with it down there. And then the alignment, so you can align, or you can even fill it, and then the bar will fill all the way across the bottom, and it'll look more like a panel rather than a dock. But I'm going to keep it aligned in the center. And then here we got our icon sizes, so you can make them really big, or you can have them really small. And I think that was around the default. There's around 36. And then this controls our icon zoom. If it's off, there's no zoom. When it's on, here you can set the intensity. So there's a little bit of zoom. There's a lot of zoom. So really cool. And I think the default was around 150, which I think is just right. It's the perfect amount of zoom, I think. And then here in our behavior, you got window dodge by default. And I'm not really sure what the differences are between all these. I mean, you got like auto hide, dodge maximize, and all that. And the differences have got to be kind of subtle, because dodge and auto hide and all that don't seem all that different to me personally. And then we got our little docklets. So these are things we can add like to our plank bar. So if I wanted to put the trash bin down in our plank bar, I can just drag it down there, and it should just kind of pop in there a bit. And then I'll just slide it to the end. That way it's kind of more like a Mac. And so we have our Mac at the end. So now if I kind of minimize that, we can see our trash bin. Easy access. Excellent. So there's our trash window, which is empty, of course. And then here you can empty your trash or open it too, just by right-clicking on the trash bin. So yes, if you're a Mac user, it can be very comfortable in this environment here. And I'm just going to kind of shrink that down a little bit there. And yes, so I think I covered it all. Wow. Didn't I? Almost. Let's go up here. I just wanted to real quick. This is our power button. I think I overlooked that before when I was up in the toolbar. So that's our log out, shut down, and reboot menu and all that. So forgot about that. Had to get that in. Now I'm going to give you my 2 cents. At first, I was a little bit worried because it crashed on me until I realized that it's just my KVM settings. So I don't have to rail on any stability issues because it is looking great, at least in this short 15 minutes that I've been yapping here. But I am really liking the tour, and the aesthetics are absolutely gorgeous again. That's really one reason that I really lean towards the Ubuntu when it comes to style and just overall great looks for Budgie. And they do this on a lot of different desktops, actually. Even Deepin. I remember doing a review on Deepin, and Ubuntu was the one that could really nail it. When everyone else was having trouble, Ubuntu would get it right. And Budgie is another one that I think just has such great features, and the theming features I really like too, because they just seem to get it right every time. For example, the desktops. You can go in there and just kind of switch desktop styles, and I really like how you can do that, switching different Mac styles like the Cupertino and the Mojave, and having the Windows 11 look and so forth. Really love all that. And I guess the theming and the aesthetics are the single most appealing thing to me when it comes to Budgie and Ubuntu. And of course, you got that stability. In fact, I ran Ubuntu Budgie about a year ago, and I daily drove it for like a month. Of course, I needed my Arch, so I didn't stick with it. But I'm telling you what, it was so trouble-free that it was almost boring. But it was a beautiful environment. And if you need boring, where you want a reliable desktop that you can depend on and not have to deal with issues and surprises and so forth, this is a fantastic choice, especially if you're a Mac user or if you're a Windows user, but you're not afraid of having an environment that looks a little bit different, because it's only something that would probably take you a few minutes to get used to, and you'd be good to go anyway. So there you go. Yes, once again, Ubuntu Budgie has earned my double thumbs up. Delayed reaction. So there you go. I hope this review was helpful. And if it was, don't forget, hit that thumbs up. It really super helps the channel and makes the algorithm say, wow, I like this guy. So that's important, and I really appreciate those thumbs up. And on top of that, don't forget to hit subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.